When John Sheridan and his wife Joyce were found dead in their burning bedroom in September 2014, mystery swirled around the case.
The County Prosecutor's Office said they knew who. John Sheridan had murdered his wife, set the house on fire, and killed himself. The State Medical Examiner's Office did a review of the whole case and said that even though the wounds on John Sheridan's side have the appearance of being self-inflicted, the weapon that caused those wounds has still, to this day, not been recovered. You tell me when a weapon got up and walked away from a suicide scene.
Hi, guys, and welcome to Trucking Along with Kearsey. That's me, your positive voice in trucking. Do I have a doozy of a story for you today? Kick back and relax. Grab your popcorn because today we have trucking, political corruption, mafia style extortion, intimidation, racketeering, indictments handed down, and possibly murder. Yep. Not kidding. I couldn't come up with this if I tried. If you like The Sopranos, then you're going to love this discussion. First, do me a favor. Comment down below. Let me know, what is it that you know about NFI? Have you ever worked at NFI? Share this video and like this video, and let's get started. First, let's talk about the key players. Number one, we have Sidney Brown. Sidney Brown is fourth generation owner of NFI. NFI Industries is the sixth largest dedicated fleet throughout North America. They are the fourth largest in warehousing, and they have 17,000 employees. They were formed in 1932, and they are still privately owned. So Sid Brown runs this organization with his brothers, Jeffrey and Ike. Now, the two brothers, Sid and Jeffrey, also sit on the board of trustees for Cooper Medical Center. The CEO of Cooper Health and the Cooper Foundation happens to be a guy named George Norcross. So who is he? George Norcross is considered a power broker in the state of New Jersey. You cannot get elected into office without this guy's say-so. He's never held a political office himself, but since 1989, he has had his hands in everything when it comes to New Jersey. He became the chair of the Camden County Democratic Committee. He worked himself up to the Democrat National Committee. That's right, guys, the DNC, till 2021 when he moved his registration to Florida. He also has a brother that is also involved with these Cooper Health foundations. His brother is an attorney in the state of New Jersey. And all of these guys have been given some kind of an award in one way or another for their philanthropic actions, great deeds in business, and all that good stuff. But on June 13th, George Norcross was named the head of a criminal enterprise. It's actually referred to in the 111-page indictment as the Norcross Enterprise. George Norcross, his brother Philip, and Sidney, also Dana Red, the former mayor of Camden, one of the poorest cities, one of the most violent cities in the U.S., and two other people were named in this indictment. The indictment accuses them of extortion, racketeering, intimidation, in sort of a Sopranos mafia style scheme to get what they wanted when it came to land development and also tax breaks. Now, this is where it starts to get really good. George Norcross and Philip Norcross has a brother named Donald. Donald is the current congressman in New Jersey. Back when Donald was a senator in New Jersey, their brother Philip, the attorney, drafted this new legislation called Grow New Jersey, and it was allowing companies to invest in Camden and especially the Camden waterfront to revitalize it and to get these really cool tax breaks. Not only could they get these tax incentives, but they could sell their shares of the incentives to other people, to other organizations and other developers. The problem was they wanted the entire Camden waterfront to themselves, and they wanted to make sure that they had the best properties with the best views, rights to easements. You could see the whole river, you could see the Philadelphia skyline, and this one organization owned that. And there was an easement that nobody else could actually build higher than and break through. Before you know it, the Norcross organization got what they wanted, and now theirs is the highest building in the city. I think it's called Triad 1828, and NFI is one of the leaseholders in this building. So Norcross's company bought the building. NFI and several other organizations lease part of their building from them, and everybody's making money. We're talking $240 million in tax savings. And one of the organizations that they kind of strong armed was going to make millions of dollars from this, and in the end they settled for $125,000. Doesn't sound right, does it? Now, not only did the brother Philip, the attorney, draft this tax break system, but their brother Donald, who was the state senator and later the U.S. congressman, had pushed it through. So basically, they designed their own tax credits. They designed their own way to just take over Camden. So how is this related to a murder? It seems that only in New Jersey is anybody talking about this murder, but back in 2014, when some of these land disputes were going on, there was a murder of John Sheridan and his wife. John Sheridan was a bigwig himself. He was a bigwig consultant in the state of New Jersey to both parties. He wasn't just Democrat or Republican. He was both parties. He had one of the largest funerals in the state of New Jersey for an unelected official. He was never elected. There were governors there. There were congressmen there. There were senators there. Everybody in all of politics was at this guy's funeral. But the police determined at the time that he stabbed his wife, set the place on fire, tried to kill himself, and then died from smoke inhalations. But their kids just didn't believe it. And it turned out that the murder weapon wasn't there.
The Somerset County Prosecutor's Office has faced withering criticism for their handling of the Sheridan investigation and the declaration that it was a murder-suicide. Who killed them? The Somerset County Prosecutor's Office said they knew who. John Sheridan had murdered his wife, set the house on fire, and killed himself. The state medical examiner's office did a review of the whole case and said that even though the wounds on John Sheridan's side have the appearance of being self-inflicted, the weapon that caused those wounds has still to this day not been recovered. You tell me when a weapon got up and walked away from a suicide.
A couple years ago, there was a podcast called Dead End.
Dead End, with the story of the murders of John and Joyce Sheridan.
What inspired me? I think what inspired me was two things. First, I had been working on an investigative journalism project in 2019 that was about land deals on the Camden waterfront, about the corporate tax break program in New Jersey, and the political machine in South Jersey. And I came upon the connection that John Sheridan, who was murdered in 2014, had to all of those issues in that deal.
I think it's 7 episodes. And the author of this podcast investigated the connection of this Sheridan murder along with the Norcross criminal enterprise, as it's actually described in the 111-page indictment, which I will include down below so you can go click on it. About a year after the podcast came out, subpoenas came forward investigating Norcross. So here we are 2 years after the podcast, a year after the subpoenas, and now we have 6 people indicted. Now, the congressman brother has not been indicted yet, and there has not been any mention of murder. However, what there was mention of on line 78, it says Cooper Health CEO 1 died suddenly in late September of 2014. Within a matter of weeks, Camden Mayor Dana Red, and it goes on, but basically, and it uses codes. It doesn't actually put names. It puts CEO 1, CEO 2, chairperson, co-chair, blah, blah, blah. So I had to sit there with a chart and figure out who they were talking about. Basically, John Sheridan and George Norcross were friends and they worked on the same boards together for Cooper Health Systems. Well, they had been friends for years, but they got involved in a land dispute, and John Sheridan was part of an organization that did not want to turn over the land. George Norcross wanted the land. So before you know it, John Sheridan was dead. The papers for the land dispute were all over his dining room table. On the night he died, he had told his son Mark before he was murdered that he was upset about this disagreement with his friend and his friend was being stubborn. He was bothered by it. You might think, oh, it's far-fetched. There's no way that politicians could possibly be involved with murder. There's no way that these rich guys that are CEOs would be involved with murder. 4 months difference of the John Sheridan murders. There was a political murder in New Jersey.
74-year-old George Brasinas will serve time for his role in the plot in which political consultant Sean Cattle paid him and another man in 2014 to kill longtime associate Michael Galdieri, who was found stabbed to death in his Jersey City apartment that was also set on fire.
This is actually listed on justice.gov. A New Jersey-based political assault consultant was sentenced today to 288 months in prison for hiring 2 men to kill longtime associate who had worked for him on various political campaigns. Sean Cattle, 45, of Hamburg, New Jersey, previously pleaded guilty before U.S. District Judge John Michael Vasquez to information charging him on 1 count of conspiracy to commit murder for hire. Sean Cattle unleashed 2 violent hitmen to stab Michael Galdieri to death and set fire to his apartment. Despite being lifelong friends, Cattle paid to have Galdieri murdered because he thought his own business interests were at risk. Stabbing, murder, fire. Okay. You know what was involved with the Sheridan's death? Stabbing, murder, fire. The Sheridan sons have not given up, and they have accused the police and the prosecutors of not being interested. They have been pushing for 10 years to find out what happened to their parents. And now it seems like it's possible they might find out. Why? Because it may be, and I'm not saying it is, I'm saying it may be connected to this indictment, because on page 78, it actually talks about the sudden death of John Sheridan led the way for a new development for the Norcross criminal conspiracy. Check out my links below because you can go figure this out for yourself. You tell me what you think. You know what? Here's something too. Do you really think that like RICO charges and racketeering charges and all these like conspiracy charges, do you really think that's fair? I mean, okay, so even if the NFI guy was trying to get away with tax breaks and outbidding people and even if all that's true, okay, if he didn't know anything about somebody else ordering a hit, should he be held liable? Because basically it seems as though in the RICO cases, you commit murder and then somebody else is involved in your gang, let's say. This is what's going in the YSL trial in Atlanta right now. And that trial is crazy. Go watch that because that trial is crazy. I hope that I'm going to be able to talk about this a little bit more. So comment down below, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know. What do you think? Are CEOs of huge organizations, are they capable of murder? Do you think they'd go that far? Well, let me know. And I hope to see you out here trucking along. Bye.